Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing into the news on church stories. I am Onyo Bala. Let's begin. The Midland Zone, particularly the city of Bamenda, has been grappling with an escalating crisis of illicit activities, resulting in a surge of casualties and untold sufferings for the local population. The latest incident, which occurred on the evening of February 9, 2025, involving a vehicle carrying illegal petrol that caught fire in the Mulang neighborhood, sending shockwaves of panic among residents. These tragic events has once again brought to the forefront the pervasive problem of illegal fuel trade in Ambazonia, which has been a major contributor to the instability and insecurity that has plagued the Ambazonian government for years. The nation has been beset of a plethora of challenges, including kidnappings, rapes, and other forms of violence, which have left their population traumatized and living in constant fear. Kidnappings, for instance, have become a rampant phenomenon in Ambazonia, with perpetrators often targeting innocent civilians, including women and children. The victims are frequently subjected to physical and emotional abuse, with some being held for ransom and others being forced to endure unimaginable hardships. The psychological trauma inflicted on the victims and their families is immeasurable, leaving deep scars that may take years to heal. The war in Ambazonia has also been marked by an alarming increase in rape and sexual violence. Women and girls have been disproportionately affected, with many being forced to endure brutal attacks, often at the hands of armed groups and militias. The stigma and shame associated with these crimes have led to a culture of silence, with many victims reluctant to come forward and seek help. The illegal fuel trade has been a major contributor to the instability in Ambazonia, with smugglers and traders often using makeshift facilities to store and transport fuel. This has resulted in numerous accidents, including the recent fire in Bamenda, which has put the lives of innocent people at risk. The trade has also been linked to other illicit activities, including kidnappings and armed robbery, which is further exacerbating the war. All these and more will bring to you on tonight's Undaunted. But first, let's take the prime headlines. Alright, first of all, we'll take a look at the fire outbreak from illegal fuel vehicle in the Mulang area of Bamenda. Men in Colonial Army Attire on February 9 shot and killed the Judge Fomatum, who is the chairman of the Presbyterian Church, Naka. Also tonight, we'll take some words from the Colonial Ministry of Public Works, Emmanuel Jumezi, who has attributed the poor nature and rapid dilapidation of the road networks in Ambazonia to climate change. A businessman has been arrested over murder case in Bamenda. Also, there is a report that will remind you that President Paul Biya has turned 92. And of course, presently on record, he is the world's oldest head of state. Alright, on the African scene, Ghanaians review horror of Burkina Faso's jihadist war, while the USAID's future has remained uncertain as Trump's unpredictability raises concern. Now let's get the news in full briefings. In the Midland zone, more and more casualties are being recorded stemming from illicit activities. Well, this report goes down to on the evening of February 9, 2025, a vehicle carrying illegal petrol caught fire in the Mulang neighborhood of the city of Bamenda. The fire, which caused panic among residents, has highlighted the ongoing problems of illegal fuel trade in the area. At about 7:30 p.m., flames and thick smoke appeared behind the Colonial City Council, alarming nearby residents. People reported hearing loud cracking sounds as the fire quickly spread. One witness said, in his words, "The flames were scary. We were afraid they would reach the nearby houses. Thankfully, the firefighters got there in time." Well, the fire raged for nearly 3 hours before the Colonial Army rescue team, led by the Colonial Senior Warrant Officer, Mr. Paul, managed to put it out. Well, luckily, the driver and his assistant escaped without injuries, leaving the burning vehicle and its illegal cargo behind. The intervention of the rescue team helped prevent a bigger disaster with the flammable petrol, which could have caused more damage. Well, experts say that the illegal fuel trade that is growing in Bamenda often avoid the attention of law enforcement. Well, amidst the struggles to get something to feed on, BS stooges in Colonial Army attire further complicates matters for these citizens struggling to get a livelihood. The survivor situation of these locals is alarming and disturbing. One of the vendors shared their struggles, saying that for small vendors like them, they pay as low as 2,000 francs to the police and another 2,000 to the gendarmes. If they don't pay, it's hard for them to do the business. And so everyone is an accomplice. Well, another wholesaler told our newsmen that they pay about 15,000 francs a week to any colonial security officer who goes to their shop. Despite several efforts to stop illegal fuel sales, the business keeps growing. Water and energy experts have warned about the dangers of storing such fuel in residential areas, stressing the risks to local families. But it is what it is. Corruption from every spot you look at. Well, we have our in-house analyst, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, who is in the house. Of course, he would want to tell us his thought about this. Bar.Tim Mbeseha, you're welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Thank you for having me once more. And thank our viewers for being here.
We're talking about illegal fuel, and you can see how those who are even involved are not thinking of changing, because I mean, that is the only way they have to survive. One. Two, once they can pay the little bribe to the gendarmes or the colonial police, they are free to go. And so you can see that this corruption is in every area, looking on how to even stink in more. What would you say?
I think I would not want to call it illegal trade. I think it is legal trade whose benefit goes essentially to a few pockets. Why? Why not illegal? Because these are fuel tanks. They are not something you can carry on your head. They come from Nigeria and they fly the highway. They cross all the custom checks. So how do they pass? It is illegal. Illegal trade of fuel is not something like carrying a bale of clothes on your head and going through the bush road. Come through the highway. Again, but remember, this is fuel coming from Nigeria. There's no refinery, there's no oil production in Calabar. It's coming through the Nigerian Cameroon highway, what they call the Trans-African Highway. And so it's coming from the Delta oil-rich area of Nigeria and crossing miles and thousands of kilometers to get to Bamenda, paying all the dues and already stated to gendarmes and everybody. So it is not illegal, they are paying money. But the issue is, why are they falling for this oil? It is cheap. Why is it cheap? Because there's nobody to verify the quality of what is being sold to the people. It is not good oil, that's why everybody can buy it. And to imagine that it is still cheap after giving all those bribes. You can still buy it from there rather than go to the gas station. But even if you go to the gas station, I've had cases in Boya, for example, where some of the gas stations are fueled by even this illegal fuel. And so it is a government sanctioned trade. But why? Why? Well, why people come to debate here every day, Pan-Africanism? Why not make it is illegal? Why not make the trade in oil between Nigeria and Cameroon legal? It's a trans-African trade. You pay legally, and you inspect the quality of what is being sold to you, and you buy it rightly and sell it rightly. But it's illegal because first it is not good quality. Even from Nigeria itself, it is stolen. It is not from a refinery. It's piped from some other authorized sources, put in tanks, and so across there. And again, we have talked about Bakassi here a lot of times. Bakassi is in Meme. In terms of distance, it's just about 200 miles, but far shorter than getting oil from Nigeria's area. But they're never going to go to Bakassi. They're supposed to have a refinery in Victoria, Limbe, which is supposed to refine oil. If they were refining this oil in Limbe and distributing it to Cameroonians and to Ambazonians in particular, it would come at half the price. So there was no need for that illegal oil. And so it is a mark of total failure of the state of Cameroon to supply itself with what it has. They have oil, but rather they want to sell it out. Crude, it is refined somewhere, they are paid half the price, and even the half the price that they are paid goes to the private pockets of Mr. President. And can we remember that oil accounts of Sonara, of the SN Nation, and all those other foreign-rich industries, the oil accounts are only really responsible to the. Nobody knows. The Minister of Finance does not know. The Minister of Energy does not know. Only the President knows what the money goes for. He uses this money to have planes for himself, high jets for his daughters, give what he likes to people, pays his bills and private bills in hospitals abroad. And so that is the tip of the iceberg of what we have come to. If we have, at this time, we voted ourselves out of Nigeria, if we must depend on Nigeria fuel, why not depend on Nigerian quality fuel? That would have prevented that accident. It's an accident, they call it. But it was foreseeable. Because when you go there with those empty drums, pulling oil out of a tank with their bare hands, that's not how security is provided for. And so these people are lucky, apparently lucky that no one died. But it could kill, and it does kill. And we have had a lot of accidents in Cameroon, for example, between Bafoussam and Douala, carrying that very fuel from Nigeria. Again, why not make it official? Instead of paying 2,000, 10,000 to a policeman to get down, let them pay this thing to the treasury. Instead of the treasury keeping it, let there be people to inspect the quality of what is transported from Nigeria to the so-called Cameroon, most particularly to Bamenda or Ambazonia. And so if you have good quality, you have less accidents. And so it's a fault of the government of Cameroon, which in my own words, it's a fraudulent government being by fraudsters. You cannot stop it because the tentacles are widespread. And so until we get out of that nonsense, then can we legalize our trade in oil if we need it with Nigeria. We should not need it. Because the oil that comes out of Bakassi and is supposed to be assembled somewhere in Limbe as crude, it's enough to supply Ambazonia more than enough oil at half the price, if not less than half the price of what they are paying for from oil dealers, illegal oil dealers. And so that's what I think I can say about that for now. Over to you.
All right. And that's not all, Bar.Tim Mbeseha. While some are struggling with that, also insecurity is on the rise, and the men in colonial military uniform have been accused of killing George Fomatum, who is the chairman of PCC congregation and the Chanceline PCC youth leader at Mai 87 Bali, Lionga, on the 7th of February 2025. Lee George, who coupled as the quarter head of Mile 87, just after Mile 90, Songwa was pulled out of his house alongside the woman and killed by men in Colonial military attire. Neighbors say the gunman knocked at his door in the saloon, and when he opened it, he was pulled out and shot at close range. Eyewitnesses' accounts reveals that the gunmen were in two groups and operated simultaneously at the quarterhead's residence and the woman's residence as well. The ransom or the reason behind the attack remains unknown. Considering the atrocities of La Republic de Cameroon, Colonial Army in Ambazonia, like the Ngabo massacre, such targeting killings are peculiar to the President Biya's regime in Ambazonia. Another report says on 14th of February 2020, 6 La Republic de Cameroon Colonial Army accompanied by armed borrowers and some persons called Ambazonian distractors carried out a massacre of civilians in Ngabo, 2 quarters of Ntombo village in Ndu, Dogon Mountain County of the Savannah Zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. This raid resulted in the murder of 21 civilians, including 13 children and 1 pregnant woman. Ambazonians will not forget. For Ambazonia to be free from the extrajudicial killings from the colonial army, the statehood of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, it must be restored with all La Republic de Cameroon's agents knocked out of the way. Bar.Tim Mbeseha, this is a killing, and we had to, bring back some of the killings, especially the Ngabo massacre of 2020, just to, emphasize on how far back Ambazonians have been suffering and sacrificing and losing lives based on this senseless war. And of course, the armed militias. What would you have to say about this?
Well, the story, if the story is true, I have had more other details from different sources about it. You see, this camouflage of unknown gunmen doesn't work, doesn't fly. Because what are the military in the first place? Cameroon military, call them the B, the unarmed. They are armed men. So they are not unknown armed men, they are armed. So the story that, somebody escaped by unknown armed men, is just fictitious. Because if somebody has been killed, or people are being killed by unknown armed men, the government should be able to trace the arms and catch the unknown armed men. But up to this point, they have not done that. But the story of this poor church guy is pathetic. They didn't kill him for unknown reasons, no. If the story I've heard is true, which I think is true, they killed him because in addition to his church work, this guy had a drinking place. He sells beer, he sells drinks, his wife sells perhaps food around there. And then the Amba fighters, they call them, the people they call Amba boys, are said to be coming there to share their drinks at any time. They are just civilians. And so the military guy got wind of it and thought that they could use this guy as a supply. So okay, they caught him and locked him up first. And said, these guys have been coming to drink your place. Cooperate with us. Tell us that when they come to your off license or what they call it, you will call us and notify us that they are there. And we will come for them. They themselves go around drinking. And so they waited, this guy would not do it. They came there themselves to drink, and they drank. And they realized that this is the guy who had promised to help them, and he was not helping them. So they pulled him out of his house, as the story goes, deliberately, and shot him in cold blood with their arms. Pulled his wife and shot her. And that did not even end the story. They asked the observers, the poor onlookers, to clap for them for doing what they did. This is part of the story. And they clapped. And to crown it all, they were asking, the guy who opened fire at Attire was a native. Shh. He's a native of that area. He spoke in the dialect. So they know him. And so these are not unknown armed men. The reasons are so clear as per this narration I've got. Why They were drinking from his pot. They expected him to be a spy and cooperate with the government, to call whoever drinks there and they suspect to be an Amba guy, to call them to come and kill him. And so they killed this gentleman and his wife. The issue is this. The main issue, especially as it's happening in Mulang, in Bamenda, as I've said many times before, is this a place where we can say there's normalcy? When somebody is just sitting at home, selling drinks, doing whatever private business they have, you shot and kill. Is this the place where the governor is preaching to have returned to normal? Is it the same place where the mayor is talking about normalcy? Is it the same place where religious leaders, including the archbishop, including the moderator of the Presbyterian church for which this guy worked, is this where normalcy is set to have returned? Certainly not. That guy was a church worker, Presbyterian church worker. Could have been a Catholic church worker, could have been a catechist, could have been a priest, could have been anybody working in the church. Okay, the church, as we understand it, is a place where people go to worship. Those who work in church are supposed to be spiritually morally high up. Yeah. And so if they can go down to this type of humble people and eliminate them, and you and me are here talking, we have not heard the voice of the pastor of Presbyterian church in that area crying foul. We have not heard the voice of the mighty Archbishop of Bamenda crying foul to the killing of this guy. At the very least, we all agree, and they agreed. This guy was not an Amba that they would like to kill as they always do. He was an ordinary guy going about his own business. So what is his own for? Just for living in Bamenda. What is his own for? For living in Ambazonia. And what is his own for? For selling what he had to people who suspected of being their enemies. They will eliminate him for not cooperating to hand over people they thought were their enemies to be slaughtered. And so we can always say, rest in peace, gentleman and your wife. We can always say the Bamenda people who live around that Mulang area, they are still so docile because it takes only one great person to stop nonsense. How long will you wait for people to come and murder your brothers around you and walk free? Yes, the military guy can kill you. He could kill you, 5, 10, but they cannot kill everybody. Next time, take it on your own and fight back. If you cause the life of one of them, that will be a better price that you paid. How long shall we sit and wait for our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our children to be murdered for doing nothing? Again, this man was not suspected for being an Amba guy, the man that they would want to kill, which though is very, very wrong. One was just a simple human being, eking out a living by selling what they call beer, by selling what thing he could. His wife perhaps making a chup, where they could not make even up to 10,000 profit in a month. They come and kill him. And so, again, this is a height of disorder. This height of disorder. Can this, to conclude, be the town where a few days ago, or today 13th, they claimed to be marching for 11 February, peacefully, gallantry around the town, say, well, this is a good place. Can anybody honorably say that that's a good place to march and celebrate and celebrate and celebrate? Celebrating what in the first place? Were they celebrating the death of this man and others, including the Ngabu we have mentioned, and many unnamed? What were they celebrating? Celebrating over the blood of their own people? No. We have to say no to this type of nonsense. Normalcy is not when the DO is safe, when the mayor is safe, when the governor is safe. Normalcy, life is good when the ordinary farmer, when your mother and mine, when your children and mine, who live in the villages without electricity, can be safe. Otherwise, we are deceiving ourselves. Over to you.
Of course, life is safe when everyone is safe. When the market woman is safe. I love that. I love that, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, because everyone deserves to be alive. And that's when Ambazonians can say, yes, there is normalcy. Well, still on suffering and pains of Ambazonia, the La Republic de Cameroon Colonial Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganu Jumeisi, attributed the poor nature and rapid dilapidation of the road network in Ambazonia to climate change. That's gaslighting. But anyways, it has been a highly criticized outing of La Republic de Cameroon Colonial Minister of Works on the poor nature and rapid dilapidation of the road networks in Ambazonia. The Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganu Jumeisi, conceded when he attributed the poor nature and rapid dilapidation of the road networks in Ambazonia to climate change. The Colonial Minister gave the word excuse in an interview on CRTV's Weekend Radio Magazine program, while responding to a question on why roads quickly deteriorate and are punctured with potholes, sometimes even before the construction work comes to an end or a few months after the roads are constructed. He stressed that roads always respect the technical specifications of construction, or else they will not be accepted by the actors involved, notably the project owner, the company they control, mission, and the engineer. In his words, he says this team must agree on the quality of the road before it can be accepted. What provokes the acceleration of degradation is the issue of not respecting the tonnage and effects of climate change, he claimed. The Colonial Minister added that the truth is that we cannot do much when there is so much rain. Heavy rains have contributed to the deterioration of those sections of the road. That's what he says. He went on to say that this is the main reason for the degradation of our roads. We have not abandoned any road. We have gone there rather to maintain the potholes. The Colonial is accusing heavy rains as the cause of the terrible bad roads in Ambazonia at the heart of the dry season. The Colonial Minister came after the 2025 annual conference of officials of the Ministry of Public Works and said that to the people who voted him in, that's if he was voted in. Well, according to him, the meeting was an opportunity to discuss some burning issues such as the rapid degradation of some roads. Roads are a key, if not the proponent avenue of development. Therefore, denying Ambazonians roads is directly denying them development. I mean, take a look at the roads that humans stay in. Well, there should therefore not be satirical excuses to explain their dismayed failure of the La Republic de Cameroon government to provide good roads. Not a single expressway exists in Ambazonia. Way back, we gave you a data that indicates that less than 9% of the country's road network, an overall length of 121,873 kilometers as of December 31st, 2023, is starred in Ambazonia. The president and his government, in his 2024 end-of-year address, complained of bad roads. He said Cameroonians have lost their lives this year as a result of accidents, some of which could have been avoided. These includes road accidents, he said. He was just re-echoing the Colonial Delegate General of National Security, Martin Mbeseha Ngole, who had also cried out about the deplorable road conditions when he traveled from Yaoundé to Muntengene in the Atlantic zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The excuses the Colonial Ministry of Public Works gives, passing the blame on climate change and overloading of trucks, are untenable. Even by a stretch of rap logic, roads are bad. Roads haven't been done. But then it says climate, it says the rain. Bar.Tim Mbeseha, you understand the climate better in Ambazonia than so many of us that haven't lived in Ambazonia for a while. So you understand that if he's saying what he's saying, attributing the issues to climate change, highly funny, but I mean, we can laugh about it. What would you have to say about this?
Well, we cannot afford not to laugh. We have to laugh because I think that's the mark of the greatest stupidity of a human being I've ever heard. Climate change. This is climate change focused only on Bamenda and Ambazonia. The whole climate is descending from the moon and only landing there. What are they talking about? You see, if you go to any criminal, you're not going to lack an excuse. If you go to a rapist, for example, One of his excuses for raping the woman will be like, why were you even such a pretty woman walking around the street? Why did God make you look beautiful? And that I should not rape you. If you go to an armed robber, you ask you why you have so much, why you have nothing. Why did God bless you with successful business? Why he, the armed robber, only learned how to steal and rob others. That's what Daniel Jumisi is saying. Because climate change, if it is climate change, did not start yesterday. It didn't start last year. It has been there around the world forever. But again, this is Ambazonia. It's not supposed to be affected by climate change. Why? Because the government of Mr. Jumisi and Paul Biya has made the reconstruction of the nozzle a special priority in spite of the climate challenges. They've gotten monies from the World Bank and other financial institutions to do just those roads. They have not done nothing. They have gotten money from France, and the French president, under the guise of the ambassador, came to Bamenda upstation and stood there and announced his 60 billion, whatever amount of money, to do reconstruction. These are the same roads in Bamenda. This is where reconstruction was launched more than 5 years ago. Can this be an excuse for not reconstructing what they destroyed? Certainly not. And so the idea of climate change is coming from a thief who thinks that others are so dull. Maybe he thinks there's climate change. But an average Ambazonian knows that that is not climate change. The climate did not start changing today. It didn't start changing yesterday. It has been there forever and ever. Climate change will not prevent a caterpillar from digging a road. The caterpillars who had the equipment pool that we had, they stole everything to here only. Climate change will not affect a paved road, which is properly paved. Yes, they launch the contracts. At the end of the day, for billions, nothing is done. They steal the money. That's Daniel Jumisi, who said publicly that he had inflated the cost of tarring a piece of road, especially in the Borough and the South, at the request of their representatives, their officials. Why? Because they wanted the price to be inflated so they could steal. Not the official price. In fact, there's an international code for constructing a paved road. If this call it 500,000 per square meter, it's supposed to be across the whole of Equatorial Africa based on the climate. But yes, they put it 500 times 10 because they will steal the money and they will not even do the 500 anyway. And so this is a chief armed robber giving excuses that don't hold any way in a civilized world. Yes, the roads were all affected by climate change. That is true. The climate change, Jumisi, I'm sure, is from somewhere in the west, probably near Banjul, in the west. Only roads in Bamenda can deteriorate because of climate change. The roads in the west, of all the divisions in the west were paved. They are solid. The sun is not shining there. The wind is not blowing there. The rain is not falling there, which is climate change. So when it comes to Ambazonia, climate change is the result of your bad roads. I share, Mr. Minister. We are too clever for that. I think you don't take us for fools. I've had the opportunity to say many times before. If the level of development of only roads, just roads, in the West was extended to their brothers, the people they call their brothers in the Northwest, call it like that, we will not have this disaster. We have the same type of roads that they have in Bafusan, that they have in Champ, that they have in Bafang, that they have in Bangante, that they have in Banjul, where you come from, sir. So climate change is not something limited. It's language of the thieves, intended to steal from us, intended to deceive and root. Yes. Bring the package for reconstruction, because that's where you want to focus on. The bridges are collapsing in the midst of the construction. The electric air that we have is wiped out, not even by rain, but by the wind. It has become dust, it's blown off. Nobody is even bold enough to carry water and sprinkle there. And you call it climate change. Don't deceive, or you have deceived us too much, too many times before. We're tired of that, and I think every right thinking Ambazonia, you see what we're talking about. Every right thinking human being should see what we're talking about. There comes a time people must say enough is enough. We're no longer, who have deceived us so much for the past 60 years. We not honor any promise made popularly at the United Nations in 1959. Yet, not even honor the Grand National Dialogue over reconstruction just 5 years ago. You've not done it. And so climate change is not a thing for Ambazonia alone. If climate change, if there must be one, it should be able to cut across Africa and around the world. We've not seen the road deteriorating anywhere in Nigeria about climate change, or anywhere in Chad, or anywhere with the excuse of speech. And so it's not an excuse. That's fraudulent, that's being manipulative. And those who can buy into such ideas, but they know that they're deceiving themselves.
Oh, well, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, thank you so much for that analysis. Well, this report is also sad when it says a businessman has been arrested as the main suspect in the recent shooting of the Edge Company excavator driver on February 4, 2025 at the Lashans Bridge in the small Malcolm neighborhood of Bamenda. Remember, we brought this report. The shooting occurred while the excavator driver was working on the bridge. Witnesses reported that he was safely operating on the lower part before moving to the upper section where the businessman sells his goods. It was in this area that armed men on a motorcycle attacked him. Local residents described the scene as chaotic. One person said it's hard to believe this could happen here, and they were all shocked. Meanwhile, the businessman had been seen in a social media video where people accused him of depositing suspicious money at the nearby junction. Well, according to them, this raised suspicions about the connection to the shooting. On the same day, Colonial government troops shot and killed the armed men believed to be responsible for the murder. Eyewitnesses report to have seen them riding through Ntarinkum with rifles. Colonial authorities claim to be investigating the case. The businessman will remain as a suspect until the investigation finds enough evidence for charges. If evidence shows he was involved, he will have a chance to defend himself in La Republic to Cameroon court. But if not, probably that's where it ends. But then, having a shop nearby, does that equate to being a suspect? He has a shop nearby where an incident occurs. I don't understand, because Bar.Tim Mbeseha, you will recall that when we talked about this story for the first time, we also mentioned that the Colonial, gendarme shot the people in quote suspected to have committed their atrocities, and captured a few as well. Probably they shot one or two and captured the rest. So how come a man whose shop is beside where the incident happened is being attacked or being arrested? Well, what would be your thought as a lawyer looking at it from that perspective?
Well, I think there's something in Cameroon, so-called Cameroon. The arrest of somebody does not amount to anything. The arrest of somebody in case of a crime is only a pointer of where they want to take money. Because at the end of the day, you might never see that guy charged anywhere in any court. But having been arrested, if he's arrested, they are going to extort money from him at the brigade or at the police station, just to obtain bail. They are going to extort money from him to claim that he's buying pieces of paper on which he will write his statement. And at the end of the day, they will not be charged him. Because, just looking at it on the face value of it, what is the interest of a businessman in killing a caterpillar driver? If he's a real businessman, he needs the road to do his business. So if he needs the road to do the business, what will be his interest in killing the man who is trying to fix the bridge, over which he will drive his goods to his store? On the face of it, it doesn't look like anything realistic. But again, based on what they told us by themselves, they shot and killed the assailants, the killers of the driver, of the truck driver, of the caterpillar driver. They shot and killed him and killed them. Then, where are they getting this evidence? Shooting and killing people who are suspected for any crime is not a solution. The civilized way is to arrest the people, hear them talk, they give you a reason if at all they did it, why they did it. They will explain their own side of the story. But killing people by yourself, you're not allowed to take justice into your own hands. Just killing people because you think that they killed someone or because you think that they did something wrong is illegal. It's illegal. That's not how law works. It's supposed to work. And so we don't know where this guy has anything to do. But again, as I've said, even if you have nothing to do with it, if they came right now and they caught us now and say, oh, you are propagating the killing of that guy, we will not get our freedom until we give bribe, if we ever get the freedom. If you pay them for arresting you. And if they arrested that guy, will not be called investigated. They said the officer sent something they call a convocation, and the man will get with his 2 legs, and then they will catch him. And that's the law of the jungle. That's not a legal thing. Let us pray and hope that they've caught the right person. If they caught the right person, so be it. Let them then do the right justice. We don't want this thing to end up like any other thing. Most of the cases where they have arrested people have ended up nowhere. In Bamenda, in Goya, anywhere in Ambazonia. They arrest you, they extort money from you, they crucify. That is why, in most of the cases, we believe strongly that they are accomplices to those crimes because they get rich from them. They get money from them. They get drinks. And so they are directly involved or indirectly involved by being accomplices. Otherwise, do the justice. Let justice not be told that it's done. Let us see it done. Let the person stand trial before a court of law, given the opportunity to have his own lawyers, to tell his own version of the story, and given the right to be convicted, and if convicted, the right to appeal if he is not satisfied with the conviction. That's how it works. Just go around locking people up, handcuffing people is not a solution to those things. Because that's not the end of justice. Justice ends properly when you end before a legal court, a properly constituted court, not a jungle of judges who come sit there just to take money. Has it been done? We're not sure. Will it be done? We don't know. And so, we don't know why this guy will have an interest to kill the caterpillar driver, if he did, but don't just extort money from him and his family and let him go. Just like we mentioned the last incident where they killed that Presbyterian church guy. It was not because he did anything. That they had arrested him earlier, extorted money from him to get a bail, on condition that he would do their liking. Once he didn't do it, they killed him, killed his wife. And so that's what their own justice is, the justice of the jungle justice, which Ambazonians don't deserve. We shall fight until we get out of it. Our justice shall be governed by the principles laid down in the 1955 West Southern Cameroon High Court law. That was the basis of our own legal system. Our justice must comply with that. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bar.Tim Mbeseha, for that. I love how you've put that justice must be served. All right, moving on. We have this report that says that the President Paul Biya is turning 92, and as of today, he is the world's oldest head of state. All right, well, the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, clocks 92 today. Now, despite that the Cameroons under him have known little or no development for his 42 years at the helm, he is still nursing the intention to have another tenure. Well, according to reports, Paul Biya was born on February 13, 1933. In Vumekas, Cameroon, and he marks his 92nd birthday this week, reinforcing his status as the world's oldest sitting head of state. Having ruled for 42 years, President Biya remains intentionally running for an 8th term in the October 2025 election. Since returning from a 6-week medical stay, according to reports in Switzerland last October, President Biya has made few appearances and the discussion of his health is legally restricted. The Catholic bishops have described his regime as a failed one, calling for new leadership, citing corruption, economic hardship, and escalating insecurity. The Cameroons face multiple crises: jihadist attacks in the far north, and the war in Ambazonia, and widespread political repression. The opposition remains weak and divided, with critics facing harsh crackdowns. The trial over journalist Martinez Zogo's mother has stalled, and the government has not been reshuffled since 2019, leaving key positions vacant. Despite his age and growing governance challenges, President Biya insists he remains committed to leading the country, warning against sirens of chaos. The Cameroons are doomed with, the regime in place. Talk more of taking another mandate at 92. Well, Ambazonian scholars argues that Ambazonia was better off before President Biya came to power. With the ascension of Biya, the Supreme Magistracy, all existing companies and airports in Ambazonia were shut down. The lone existing industry, which is education, has been destroyed. With ongoing war, he declared on Ambazonia in 2017. Bar.Tim Mbeseha. This is just a rough sketch we just had, and it's amazing how this week he turns, a new age, but then he's still interested in power come October elections in the Cameroons. Amazing. He wants to lead the people. He wants to rule the people. He just wants to rule the people. What would you have to say about this?
I think it is wrong to say that Paul Biya wants to lead the people. Now, it is not Paul Biya leading anybody. Absolutely not Paul Biya. Some people are leading the country in the pretext of calling themselves Paul Biya. That's just a fact. You see, all those things you see there, Paul Biya, don't say that he has not been seen popularly. He has not been seen anywhere. The last time he was seen out popularly was in 2018. Then when he went to the far north to launch his campaign. That was the time that he moved out of the presidential palace and went somewhere else in Cameroon. That's the last time. All those things you see there, call it National Day, Youth Day, speeches. You see the pictures. Those are not pictures of Paul Biya. These are things taped at the presidency. You can clone his voice there. He doesn't even know how to read those things. If you saw him in America here a few years back, he stood there, he didn't know where he was. And then he was asking where the people in the hall. Is that a guy who will read a speech? 5 years after, is that someone who can read a speech? Certainly not. So you should stop deceiving people. Over the past 7 years, Paul Biya, if he has been ruling at all, he has been ruling through high instructions, oral instructions. Because if it were to be typed, somebody will have to sign. Anybody can come and say, well, I have instructions from the president, which are purely oral. So this man has not been sent anywhere. You see 92? I doubt. He's more than 92. That is his academic age, which I very much doubted on these facts. If by 1962-61, Paul Biya was already finishing a university study in Paris, in France, 50-something. How old was he when he went to school? He was probably, in those days, he could not go to primary school when he was less than 10 years old. And to get to university, he could not be less than 30-something. And if you put those factors together, this man will be probably close to 100, if not more than 100 years old. And so, what is going on are people manipulating him, which in legal terms, it can be put in criminal terms. That is being cruel to the elderly. These are just cruel people. They are treating this man, using him. The Jumisis, so-called ministers, All these people who will come out and give excuses. Jimisi said the road was not constructed. There was a budget. What happened to the budget? They had money. By his own mouth, contracts are poorly executed, people sign for them, and they go away. By his own mouth, they get loans from World Bank in the name of Cameroon, in the name of Paul Biya as the head of the state. He's just being manipulated. His name is being used by some living human beings. That man is a dead living man. I'm not sure that any of us at that age, it's not an insult to him. At that age, and we've seen it, he's barely able to recognize anybody, even in public. Even in the mighty hall in the United States. In Congress, he comes out in the meeting, he's asking if there are people inside here. He could not see them. He could not see them with his own eyes. Though everybody was sitting there. He couldn't even know where the microphone was. And so this is almost 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and this is a man who wants to take another mandate? No. The ones somebody somewhere is trying to take that opportunity, and they've been taking the opportunity of his heart, of his age, to steal, to take everything from the country. And remember, what he calls the government, his government, is a club of thieves, almost 90% from his own village. It's a club of criminals. The Jumisis that we just saw there, they are just people at the peripheries. That's why even Jumisi himself, who could not resist from the clan of the Bulu, tripling the cost of tiring a road to Bolova in their own area. He was a minister. They told him do this. He could not resist. And he knew that it was fraud. Somebody stronger than Paul Biya, using the name of Paul Biya from the south, said, look, if you must give a road here, instead of paying 500,000, pay 3 million, so that we will make all the money for ourselves. And so this is the official version from Jumisi, one of his lieutenants, one of his ministers. Where was Paul Biya? Because as we speak, I'm told, there are no roads on the south. Where was Paul Biya? When the minister was being told to inflate the price of constructing a road to his own village, he was there, dead but living. So this is absolute cruelty to the elders. They are just punishing this poor old man for nothing. Why not let him die a peaceful death? Because when you get old, you are lucky to reach that age. When you get old, the next thing that you will die. You cannot cheat death. You can cheat human beings. You cannot cheat death. You must die. But why let him die in this misery? Why use his name to bless your theft, to bless all your crimes that you are committing on earth? So let this man die a peaceful death. If you let him rest in his house, he will still be better than what he was. You see him so old. He's even doing it because of the lifestyle that he has. From day one of his own youth, he has never suffered like you and me. He has never had a garden. He has never gone to the kitchen to do anything. He has had the best medical care in the world, the best renowned hospitals in Europe, in America. And so if at that age he's able to stand up, it means he had taken good care of him. If he were your father or mine, he would have long since died. And so this is a dead living man. When somebody says he's trying to take another term, somebody is trying to take a term in his name. The last decree is signed in 2019 giving high instructions. He has not signed another one again. That's why he's unable to change the cabinet. That's why he's unable to even appoint somebody to replace those who are dead. Because even though they can do everything through high instructions, unfortunately they don't have the power to appoint government ministers through high instructions. Since they cannot do it, those offices remain vacant. Like him, the presidency is totally vacant. It is being run by ghost people. It is being run by criminals who are taking advantage of his old age, who are taking advantage of the density of the population of the so-called people who come out. And so that is where he finds himself. It is whatever thing is set on that date of 11 February, called it Paul Biya said it. Whatever thing is set on the 31st of December, whatever thing you can do, those are not species made by Paul Biya. They are cloned. Paul Biya cannot even wear. They go to the presidency, record those things. You remember, if you see those speeches, go back to them and see after this. He's wearing the same coat everywhere. 1st December, he's still standing the same person. 11th February, is the same person standing there in the same coat. So Paul Biya, as the president, has only one suit that he wears all his life. I mean, it's absolute stupidity. They need to do something else. It should be a little bit more civilized. The guy is always been portrayed in the same way, the same attire. I think the whole president, even me, as poor as I am, at least I changes my t-shirt every time I come to this place. If he's not changing his own, it's just a clone standing there. It's not Paul Biya. I feel sorry for him. May the Lord punish those who are punishing this man in advance. Over to you.
Right. Bar.Tim Mbeseha, those last lines there. All right, thank you so much for being part of Undaunted tonight. I mean, those last words there, I'm sure that the Lord has heard your prayers. And this is why we're doing the curtains for Undaunted tonight. So I'm expecting to see you on Saturday for Ambazonia this week, where a whole lot of interesting topics will be brought to the front burner for major discussion. And of course, I look forward to seeing you and other barristers on Saturday. But this is where we'll let you go and, give the rest of the report for today. Well, coming up next is news across Africa. The situation in Burkina Faso is really complex, with the military struggling to defeat the jihadists who have taken control of a significant amount of territory. Just recently, 3 Ghanaians shared their experience with the BBC, describing the horrific scenes of violence and bloody battles they have witnessed while fighting alongside the military in Burkina Faso. They have been involved in the conflict since 2018, crossing the border from Ghana to fight in defense of civilian communities with whom they have strong family and ethnic ties with. Their stories are heartbreaking, with one of the men recounting how his entire family, including his elder brother, sister-in-law, and children, were killed by the Burkina army. This tragedy has driven him to take up arms, not for religious reasons, but to protect the people he cares about. The fact that they have seen 40, 50, or even 100 dead people in a single battle is a deep reminder of the indiscriminate violence that's plaguing the Burkina Faso region. The Burkina government has been spending a significant amount of money on military equipment, with nearly 30% of state budget allocated to defense spending. However, despite this investment, the jihadists continue to launch deadly attacks, leaving thousands of people dead and displaced. The world needs to take notice of this crisis and provide support to the people of Burkina Faso who are caught in the middle of this conflict. It's also worth noting that the conflict in Burkina Faso is part of a larger regional problem, with extremist groups like Jemaah Nasr al-Islam War Muslimin operating across the Sahel region. The situation is very complex, with multiple factors at play, including poverty, lack of education, and ethnic tensions. To address this crisis, a comprehensive approach is needed, one that involves not just military action but also economic development, social services, and community engagement. The stories of the 3 Ghanaians who fought in Burkina Faso serves as a reminder of the human cost of the conflict. They are not just statistics or news headlines. They are people with families, friends, and communities, people who have a life, who are affected by the violence. It's time for the world, for the international community to take action and provide support to people of Burkina Faso, to help them rebuild their lives and create a more peaceful and stable future. News across the globe comes up next. United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has been a cornerstone of American foreign aid for over 6 decades. What have they been doing? They have been providing critical assistance to developing countries around the world. However, with the arrival of President Trump, the fate of USAID and the future of US aid is increasingly uncertain. USAID was established in 1961 and has played a vital role in delivering development aid and humanitarian assistance to countries in need. The agency has managed projects worth hundreds of billions of dollars spanning various sectors such as healthcare, education, and economic development. As an independent federal government agency, USAID receives overall foreign policy guidance from U.S. Secretary of State. But as President Trump's unpredictable policies and whims continue to unnerve both friends and foes abroad, the future of USAID and the U.S. aid hangs in the balance. The agency's mission to promote economic growth, reduce poverty, and improve living standards in developing countries may be compromised by the Trump administration's shifting priorities and budget cuts. But, because some countries will be suffering, especially African countries, we are taking this in-depth analysis to know what exactly is the development aid. Development aid refers to monetary assistance, programs, or training provided to support a developing country's political, social, or economic development. And so, it is a way for developed countries to help developing ones address underlying causes of poverty and create foundations for long-term improvement. The most comprehensive definition of foreign assistance is that of the Development Assistance Committee, which emphasizes the importance of promoting sustainable development and reducing poverty. And so, there are various types of development aid. It's including tied aid, untied aid, project aid, resource aid, and technical aid. Tied aid is spent in the country where it originates, while untied aid can be spent wherever the recipient country wishes. Project aid involves providing funds for specific projects. We have seen that in so many African countries, such as building a school, especially hospitals, where resource aid helps supply resources in areas of critical shortages. Technical aid provides technical assistance and trainings to help local communities develop their skills and expertise. And so regardless of all of the frauds that people say recently that are associated with the USAID, there are some positive sides which we know that so many African and developing countries across the world have benefited from. Another question that so many persons may be asking that is on the front burner for us today is, why do wealthy countries provide aid, right? Wealthy countries, from the best of our knowledge, provide aid for various varieties of reasons, including to promote economic growth and majorly to reduce poverty and improve living standards in developing countries. So it is also a way to promote global stability and security. According to former President John F. Kennedy, when he signed the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961, he says, by providing development aid, wealthy countries can help create more stable and prosperous partners, which can have benefits for everyone involved. And so it was supposed to be a positive means, right? But right now, as the future of USAID and the US aid remains uncertain right now, and one thing is clear: the need for development aid and humanitarian assistance is greater right now than ever, because millions of people around the world are struggling to have access to basic necessities like food, water, and health care. The world must come together to address these pressing challenges. Will the Trump administration continue to support USAID and the critical work it does? One question. Or Will it chart a new course for American foreign aid? While you're trying to answer that question, we would say only time will tell. This is where we draw the curtains on tonight's Undaunted. But before we go, we take a look at the major highlights of tonight's reports. On tonight's Undaunted, we told you that fire broke out from illegal fuel vehicle in Bamenda in the Mulang area. Also, men in Colonial Army attire on February 9 shot and killed Judge Fomatum, chairman of the Presbyterian Church in Naka. Also tonight, we told you that the Colonial Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Jumezi, attributed the poor nature and rapid dilapidation of the road networks in Ambazonia to climate change. A businessman has been arrested over a murder case in Bamenda. Also tonight, all the African scene, we took a look at the happenings in Burkina Faso and how Ghanaians have reviewed so much horror in the jihadist war. On the foreign scene, we took a look at the USAID's futures certainty as Trump's unpredictability raises concern. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. Bringing to the news Untold Stories. On behalf of the technical team behind tonight's production, and of course our in-house analyst Bar.Tim Mbeseha, we say thank you for being part of tonight's production. Good night and God bless.